Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our today's office hour on California's BEAD Subgrantee selection process. My name is Ali Eshraghi, and I serve as a program and project supervisor for the BEAD program here at California Public Utilities Commission, CPUC. I'm joined today by my colleagues from the CPUC and CTC Technology and Energy, as well as Ready.net. And my colleague will introduce themselves as we go through your questions, basically the first time that they speak. Let's start with the agenda for our today's session. As we are starting with a brief welcome and some housekeeping notes. This includes on how basically to interact through Zoom, as well as how the scope of this office hour. Then we move on to the main segment of this meeting, which is the questions, and then we'll wrap up with the next step and some important reminders. Housekeeping. Let's cover the guidelines for participation in today's Q&A session. To ask a question, the same process as our previous sessions. Please write your question in the chat and wait to be called on before speaking if we need a clarification on some elements of your question. But keep yourself on mute until your turn to speak. If you are called upon to clarify any parts or elements of your questions, please provide the clarification in the chat afterward. This basically helps us accurately capture your question for inclusion in the next version of our FAQ document. In terms of going through your question, we'll start with the first round, giving everyone a chance to ask one question. Please avoid multi-part questions during this round. After the initial round, and if time allows, we open the floor for additional questions. If you would like to follow up on someone else's question, please write in the chat and wait to be called upon. Or as we go through the questions, basically we capture the follow-up questions that you submitted. Thank you for your cooperation. Let's move on to the scope of this office hour. This session is focused on questions about the subgrantee selection process. Basically, as you know, we are in the pre-call and project application window. There will be questions during this office hour that you ask, and we might not be able to provide a comprehensive and complete answer. We'll take those questions back, review them, and include the responses in our FAQ document. Regardless, all the questions will be included in our FAQ document. If you have questions that after this office hour, you can submit those to our mailboxes, the BEAD grant@cpuc.ca.gov for any questions that you have regarding the subgrantee selection process. And if you have general questions about the BEAD, you can send those to bead@cpuc.ca.gov. As a reminder, the CPUC is required to follow the rules established by the NTIA, which administers the BEAD program. And as I briefly mentioned earlier, questions and answers from today's meeting will be posted in the FAQ section of our website. We are going to post the version 7 of the FAQ document this week. And we are on track posting those weekly during the application window timeframe. In addition, we are recording this session, and the recording will also be posted to our website. Thanks for joining us today, and let's get started with your questions. So I'll see there are a few questions already. I'm going through the first one. How can municipalities meet certification requirements in the pre-qualification application when certain certification are only applicable to their ISP partners? For example, so maybe I ask Joe, do you want to basically the first section of this, if you have a general answer for this and you think we should go through this specific example? I can read the example if you
Yeah, so we were just kind of curious, generally speaking, there's some of the certifications like the technical capabilities and stuff where the ISP partner will be the one that's kind of carrying that. In the way that it's kind of framed in the application, we're curious how municipalities who may not have a broadband network right now, but will meet those certification requirements in the application through the partnership, how they should go through the pre-qualification since those are required elements.
Siggy, maybe a question for you. Maybe take a first stab at it.
I'm happy to take a stab. I think we should probably provide. There's a lot of nuance here, so we should probably provide more information in a frequently asked question to just clarify. We certainly encourage any likely partner to be registered in the pre-qualification section, and I think you already, by your question, you already understood what is needed at the application level. So, but to the extent to which any demonstrating capabilities and operational experience can be done through by pointing to potential partners that are already going to participate in the pre-qualification. That would work. They can demonstrate it through some other programs. So if they've been part of some other public-private partnership, that's not going to work for the BEAD process. But submission of RFPs that outline the specific technical requirements and expertise and operational experience needed, demonstrate that capability that you will have by the application deadline might be sufficient. So again, we'll provide more detail in an update to the frequently asked questions.
Thank you, Ziggy. So the next question, we are in the midst of responding to the pre-qualification. How long will it take to review and approve? As May 7, 2025 is the published closing date for the application submission, we are concerned that we may not have sufficient time to respond appropriately. Is there any plan to extend this date? So there are different elements to this question. I'll try to capture and then I ask my colleague to provide their inputs. So May 7, I'm not sure what the date, basically for the pre-qualification, the dates that we have and they're on our website. The pre-qualification will be closed on April 24th and the project application window will be closed on May 2nd. In terms of your question, as we mentioned, as soon as you submit your pre-qualification, we start reviewing those. But if there are any follow-ups, there is no determined timeline. We are trying to review those as soon as possible. If there are questions regarding your pre-qualification, you will receive messages through the GMS, through the portal, but you don't need your pre-qualification to be approved before you start your project application. So you can start your project application as soon as you submit your pre-qualification. So Joe, Ziggy, anything that you would like to add?
I think that answers that, in my opinion.
Thank you. So moving on to the next question. The version 6 of FAQ from April 10 states, if a CPCN is not applicable for your organization, enter 0 for the CPCN license number. If your organization has a partner with the required certifications, your CPUC certified partner must submit a pre-qualification application and indicate its certifications. If a local government applicant has not yet finalized selection of a partner due to their required RFP timeline, will they be limited to selecting partner ISPs who were approved for pre-qualification? What if they were approved through a PPP in a different locality? Ziggy, is this something that we can provide?
Yeah, I think the answer I just provided earlier covers this question as well. So some of it was already answered, and the rest we'll refine in the frequently asked questions.
How will the next question? Thanks, Ziggy. The next question: how will be informed about questions to pre-qual app? Will it show in the pre-qual? Yes. So basically, the guidance also in the pre-qual and the instruction mentions that any revision or questions will be communicated through the portal. So as we are waiting for the next question, as mentioned, if you joined before the introduction part, please write your question in the chat, and we'll go through them in order that we see them in the chat. We are publishing our FAQ document every week during the application window timeframe. If you have questions that you want to ask after this office hour throughout the week, or basically you need an answer sooner, please submit those to our BEAD mailbox, beadgrant@cpuc.ca.gov. We aim to respond to those questions within 3 business days. And if we need more information or basically more time to clarify elements of your question, we'll let you know in that case. And I see my colleague Joe from CTC posted the dates that we have on our website for pre-qualification application and project application. Pre-qualification application from March 25th to April 24th. Basically a week from now, the pre-qualification window will be closed, and the project application window is from April 2nd to May 2nd. So the next question is, when will the next FAQ be published with the detail discussed in this meeting? Given that April 24th deadline for pre-qualification, we want to ensure our submission reflects CPUC's guidance and would prefer not to wait till the day of submission to finalize. So we are posting the FAQ hopefully by COB today, if not tomorrow. That would include not the questions during this office hour. The next one would be a week from now. If you have questions that basically you did not, if you ask a question during this office hour and we mentioned that we include that in the next FAQ document, which means you wouldn't have that response for the pre-qual in time for the pre-qualification window, please submit those to our BEAD grant CPUC at cpuc.ca.gov, and we give that a priority to get back to you as soon as possible, considering the closing date of pre-qualification window. And that's the case that we haven't provided the response comprehensively in this call, and you need more information, please submit those to our mailbox. So there is a question that was sent directly to me. As I mentioned, please send those questions to the chat so my colleague could capture those questions for the FAQ document. The question is basically about the when the FCC Fabric Data version 6 be utilized in the final California BEAD map for purpose of funding. We have a series of questions in the latest FAQ that we discussed the process and provided information on basically for specific BSL locations. But Ziggy, do you want to provide maybe a high-level summary of that? Or
I am probably not the one to talk about the data and address fabric versions and when and what. So
okay.
I'll
So
defer.
We'll take that offline as well, and we review our questions, the FAQ. If this one is not directly answered, we'll add another question and clarify that.
And I should say, just to clarify, it is absolutely answered in the FAQ responses we'll be providing. So we're not ignoring the question.
So the next question, so we don't have any other question. Thanks for basically writing your question. We go through those. Are local governments required to sign the non-telephone corporation affidavit as is, or may they adjust the language to not refer to themselves as a company, change it to organization, and to indicate the CPC and license will be through a partner? Ziggy or Joe?
Well, this question come in earlier. It's a good one. That affidavit was prepared by the CPUC legal team. So yeah, I can't speak too much to any changes. I would fill in, I would say, keep it as company, like don't change any of the form itself. It's probably the best bet. Can't speak exactly to any of the other changes though.
Thanks. And we can take this question back to, if you have any follow-ups, we can check with our internal staff in terms of that specific question. But to Joe's point, basically we have those templates finalized through our review process. So no changes unless there is a specific direction in our guiding documents. So giving it a few more minutes to see if there are any other questions. If not, we can wrap up. So the next question is, I have a question about 5.19a NHPA compliance. Do we need to specifically outline how we'll evaluate and or avoid impacts to each individual property, or is a general approach sufficient? So I know we don't have our NEPA CEQA folks on this call unless Joe, do you have any opinion on this? If not, we can take this off and follow up with our colleagues.
I'll just mention these all came directly from that team. I think they probably should have the last word, but the question itself is non-specific to like doesn't mention the specific properties. But I'd say let's let the SQL team weigh in and see what they're looking for.
So thanks. We'll include that in our next FAQ document in terms of that specific question 5.19a. Let's give it another minute. And just as a general note, the FAQ that we have developed and we are updating every week, basically very likely answers a lot of questions that you might have. We try to make them as general and as comprehensive as possible, so it would be helpful for all applicants. There are also different sections, so it would be easier for you to find questions that you have regarding a specific section of the application, timeline, or general rules. I'm very likely suggest that if you can review those questions, that would be great help as you go through your application process. And the next question is from Patterson. Can I answer question 7.17.23 as NA? I'm not sure you're referring to pre-call or project application, and what are those specific questions? Those are pre-call. Probably we need to, we can't, those are, seems a lot of questions. We need to take a look, and if you can provide, if you can submit now or submit your questions through our mailbox to justify or explain why you think those should be NA. We need more context, basically. Sam, oh. Is it possible to request an exception to reduce the matching funds below 25% outside of the defined high-cost areas? There are specific guidance and questions regarding that in our project application. Joe, do you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can respond to that. So whether you're talking about the 90% or the 100% proposal, but the optional 90%, I should say. Sorry for the background noise. The system, the portal will calculate if you are under that 25% match. And if you are, you can apply for a waiver, just saying, and you have to say yes or no to the waiver, provide some background, I believe, and actually give the waiver amount. So yes, you can kind of request an exemption for that. Just make sure to include the waiver amount and the requested funds. And I think it's right after you have the total project cost, there's a question for total funds requested.
Also, if I can weigh in on the previous question on the National Historic Preservation Act, just to calm anybody's fears on this. The pre-qualification process is really is to look at, are you legit? Can you actually deliver on any generic project. So we are not asking questions specific to any particular specific projects. That would be unreasonable. So no worries about that. So a generalized approach to how you would treat historical properties or protected properties is our site is perfectly fine. And that can also, and I believe we have a webinar on this, but or did one, but there are requirements that come as you are selected. We'll need if you're selected and awarded a project, we'll have some follow-up questions, and then there will be a set of consultations and procedures you have to go through prior to construction. So that's all part of a subgrant process, but the pre-qual process has no project-specific questions.
Thank you. Okay, Sam, could we have the slides up? So let's wrap up with some follow-up and resources and some reminders. As a reminder, if you haven't already, please sign up through our website to receive the updates about the BEAD program. As I mentioned, for questions about subgrantee selection process, mail them to beadgrant@cpuc.ca.gov. And if you have other questions about the BEAD program in California, general questions, please send those to bead@cpuc.ca.gov. As mentioned, we are updating our FAQ document every week. And if you have, basically including the questions for this version 7, version 6 was posted last week, version 7 will be posted by COB today or tomorrow. And the questions during this office hour will be including our version 8 next week will be posted. In terms of the, so we are continuing with these office hours every Thursdays from 1 to 2 p.m. As part of our outreach opportunities. There are other resources that we are posting, recorded webinars about different topics to help you through this pre-qualification and project application process. The registration link for the office hour, if you haven't already, is available on our website. These sessions, basically both the office hours that we are having live as well as the recorded webinars that we are posting, they provide an open forum for stakeholders to basically ask questions, seek clarification, and receive guidance. These are for the BEAD the office hours, as well as getting information from our recorded webinar, all about the BEAD application process. Stakeholders are encouraged to attend these sessions, the office hours, and go through the posted materials on our website to fully understand the requirements and opportunities provided through the BEAD program. These events are designed to promote transparency, collaboration, and success for all potential subgrantees. Thank you for your participation and engagement today. Have a great afternoon.